Hello, Editing Lindsay here. I am filming this the day after recording my podcast episode. I am going to rearrange the contents a little bit. I had initially filmed an introduction and kind of just rambled on into like a life TMI situation. I'm going to move that to the end of this video so that anybody that doesn't want to commiserate with me about the perils of social media can skip that part and still see my crafting content. So my new introduction is, hi, my name is Lindsay. This is my YouTube channel, One Cat Crafting, where I typically talk about knitting, cross stitch, spinning. Is that all that I do? Sewing. Sometimes geocaching and travel. I have what I'm touting as a zero production value podcast. I would rather spend any disposable income on crafts and craft supplies, so I do not use a paid video editing software. I don't have any special lighting that nature doesn't provide. I'm just looking to connect with a small group of crafters, like-minded people, so that I have somebody to chat crafts with. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll send you back to Lindsay from yesterday. Also, for anybody who does stick around for the end life bits, I am okay. I was not having a great mental health day. With the humidity in my area, was 43 degrees Celsius. I was very flushed. My face was red. I do not enjoy this weather, but I'm doing all right. We'll see you soon. I have some very rough notes about what I'm going to cover. As usual, I have my crafting journal and a couple of things to show you. First thing on my list is talking about Sandy by the Lakeside. I will link her below. She is primarily a knitter, lives somewhat local to me. She is in the Greater Toronto area. And she has, in her most recent podcast that I watched, she has described having sort of a 90s summer, and what that means to her is consuming more physical print media as opposed to digital media. Primarily, that's what I took away from her video. And I am trying to embrace that concept. Having a 90s summer means something a little bit different for me. I think her and I are about 10 years apart in age. I was pretty young in the 90s. I would have been 10, 12, 15, depending on what year it was. I was born in 83. So a 90s summer to me is sort of just reliving an amazing part of my childhood that didn't have all of the social media and the electronics that we have today. So in applying a 90s summer to myself, what that looks like is walking around the corner to the convenience store when I need something instead of ordering Uber delivery. And I've silenced a lot of my notifications on my phone. I don't need to know every time somebody walks past my house. I don't need to know every time there's a bird or a squirrel at the bird feeder. I don't need to know that my delivery is 10 stops away. I get a notification when it shows up. Just really limiting the amount of notifications that I get every day. And I was doing this over the last weekend, and I was sort of consciously aware how often my phone goes off, that I just kind of look at the thing, the notification, and then dismiss it. And it was really nice. I was sewing over the weekend, and I had a podcast on, and it was really nice to just listen to that podcast without having continual interruptions from all of these different social media and all these different apps that I use. I have one that reminds me every day that I'm supposed to lose weight. Like, this is new information to me. And I mentioned with like all of the weather alerts and someone's walked past the front door of my house alerts. Like, I just don't need that constant stream of notification tones and interruptions and that kind of thing. Also, the music that I listened to in the 90s, I was really big into Blink-182 and Sublime. Still enjoy listening to both of those bands. Sublime has a new album out. It is the group's fourth, and apparently it's supposed to be their final album after the lead singer died a couple decades ago. His son is now an adult, and I guess that family owns the rights to the Sublime band name, so they recorded a new album. And there's a couple songs in it that I really enjoy. Also listened to them over the weekend while I was sewing, and also without constant interruptions from different social media and notifications. Another thing that 90s summer means to me is not ordering things online. I mean, that's still obviously going to happen to a certain extent this day and age. Things are just kind of more available now for online order. Back in the day, we used to order from catalogs and that kind of thing, and that doesn't really exist anymore. If I need something, put it on a shopping list, and when I'm out running errands, go look for it instead of just immediately ordering it from Amazon or from somewhere else. And I'm thinking about the way that I consume, like a lot of us do, television. I love a good binge watch, and a lot of the television shows that are released these days are available in like a binge platform. They release either, you know, half of the season or the full season at a time, and you can watch it in a couple of days, and that's that. And that's the way that my husband sort of prefers television shows to be available to him. So this may be something that I do on my own when he's not around, or for shows that I watch myself, try and find something that has, you know, an episode a week, so that I'm not just constantly consuming all of my media binge on demand style. And just going for little walks. I used to enjoy going for little walks, going to the beach and finding a shell or a rock or a piece of sea glass, little trinkets. Still love collecting that stuff. I don't do that often anymore. When I was a kid in the 90s, that's the thing that I did. I set off in the morning with my walkie-talkie. I was always sort of within range of either my parents' house or my best friend's house, and just see what, you know, kind of cool little trinkets I could find for the day. If I think of anything else about what a 90s summer means to me, I'll pop it up on the screen. But yeah, just, you know, listening to more music and that kind of thing. And I'm looking forward to it, and I've already, like I mentioned, become very aware of how many notifications my phone receives in a day. Also cutting back on social media. I know a lot of people are going through this in the last year or so, where I think we just get burned out. Back in the day, we would have had a high school reunion every 10 years, or, you know, that one person in class that kind of kept in touch with everybody. If you wanted to know what someone was doing, you'd pick up the phone and call them or call that person. And social media has just been really making me feel like garbage recently. I'm in my early mid-40s. A lot of people my age who got married sort of out of college or out of university, their kids are now getting to like a post-secondary age. Everybody's having their houses paid off. And they're sort of gearing up to gear up for retirement. And that is not the way that my life has panned out, which sort of plays back into my shit mental health day. That is not the way that my life has panned out. I did not get the kids that I wanted. I did not get married right out of college. And my house is, you know, I'm 1 year back into the real estate market. My house is nowhere near being paid off, and it won't be paid off for a very long time. And I have the innate ability to just compare myself to anybody else and find fault with how my life is going or where I'm at or the decisions that I've made. And social media is not healthy for somebody who has feelings like that, like I do, that come up. I mean, they're there pretty much every day, but once in a while they come up with a vengeance, and that's what's been going on this last week. So just, I've made my Facebook page private. If, you know, if people find my name and click on it, they don't even see a photo of me. It looks like I have no posts. I haven't deleted my Facebook account because I have a lot of photos on there, and that is the primary tool that is used for when there's a job for wildlife transport that I volunteer for. I'm also involved in quite a number of missing persons groups, and that is also the primary method of communication about those. But so far as like social interaction with groups of my peers, I'm not able to do that in a healthy way anymore right now. So Facebook is gone. I have 2 different Instagram accounts. One is personal and one is more crafting. I haven't posted on my personal one probably in a year or two. I don't even log into it anymore. And I think that's going to continue. I think I'm just going to use my crafting one, and the few friendships that I have in the crafting community are fine existing sort of in that account on that platform. I'm not in a space to give my brain more fuel to hate on myself. It does that enough on its own right now anyway. Also, if you're new here, I like to overshare. I don't normally do that so much on this podcast. In real life, I find the more that I talk to people about depression and mental health issues and just be a relatable, decent human, the more that people open up to me, the more that I find people that, I have things in common with. When you ask any random person how they're doing, they say fine. Like that's not creating a one-on-one human relationship with any sort of authenticity. It's just people responding in the manner that you think that you're supposed to. So I think this is the first time I've really sat down on this channel and just been like, mental health isn't great. Every day is a new, fresh situation. If you're going through that, it's okay. I think that these times are exceptionally hard to exist in and find joy, especially if you have sort of an underlying mental health, depression, anxiety, any of those things. So I hope that, some of you feel some sort of kinship in these comments that I've made and feel inspired to talk to another human about what you're feeling and what you're going through. It doesn't often make things worse in my experience. So that was my little spiel on the 90s summer and what that means to me, and it kind of overflowed a little bit. Normally I start these with my crafting journal, so I will move into my crafting journal now for the month of June. The last time that I podcast, it was June 17th, so I normally do 2 podcasts a month. One at the beginning of the month and one halfway through. So for my June, you would have already seen last episode photos of the critters that we did wildlife transport for this year. Our last of our 3 axolotls passed away earlier this month, so I have a photo in my book for that. The puppy swimming up north, a beautiful little hummingbird. This was all covered in my last podcast, and then this photo is the first thing that's new information to you guys. I will pop photos up on the screen so that you can see a little bit better. I have been working for a while on some sort of I have cobbled together all sorts of different spiritual beliefs and religious things and sort of made up my own system that I feel happy, content with, regarding the afterlife and souls and all that kind of thing. And I have wanted for a while to have a more permanent display for, I observe a week essentially long, like Day of the Dead kind of equivalent, between Halloween and the first week in November. And every year I print out photos of people and light candles and have those in a prominent area in my house. But it was all very temporary and I wanted something more permanent. So what I did was I picked up a shadow box and I printed out photos of all of the people that I have lost, that I have the ability to remember, and put their photos in my shadow box. Also pets. And I ordered some candles that look like they're melting, but they're like LED flameless candles. And I put that together. I'm not finished with it yet. Everybody's photo is up there and I've sort of glued them into like a paper scrapbooking frame kind of looking thing. I have some more little odds and ends that I want to add in there, but it's a work in progress now. That's the first big thing that I had done to that recently. Also, I had a finish that I talked about last episode of Meg the Moth Woman by Night Spirit Studio, and I have now fully finished her. I stretched the Aida fabric over a black painter's canvas and just laced it from behind and sort of tucked the corners in, and that is now hanging on a wall in my craft room, and I'm quite happy with how that came out. I had another fully finish of a cross stitch that I had finished stitching quite some time ago. It is by Haunted Frames. It's called The Book of Psychic Readings, and again, I'll pop up a photo, but there is a little tiny image of that in my book. Our golden retriever Lux also turned 1, so I'll pop in some photos of that. And I had a knitting fully finished object, the Muscle Burrow hat. I think this is like the 7th or 8th one that I've made. I finished one that I had started last month in May, and I'll pop a photo of that finished object up, which means that I have 400 yards out of stash for the Elder Stash Mal hosted by Jen of the Stash Down Diaries. 2017 is the oldest yarn that I currently have in my stash, so I'm working from 2017 and 2018 for the Elder Stash Mal. And this finished project was 400 yards of 2017 stash out of my collection. On to cross stitch new starts and whips from my big massive bag. This is in a project bag that I made last month myself. This was a new start. I have a very crinkled cover photo. Queen Bee. I love her. My husband called her interesting. And I'll show you where I'm at. I have a made up rule that I can't put away new projects until they hit a minimum of 10%. This one has now hit 10.02%, 1,024 stitches done of 10,221. And this is where she's at right now. I love her. I love this fabric. I had initially started this on a Gothic, I believe it was Gothic by Picture This Plus. So fun side quest here. I was at Spring Mingle, a virtual cross stitch retreat hosted by Lindy Stitches, and I was talking to Clover Hop there, and she was saying that she always measures her fabric herself for dimensions and for count, and then does the math on her own about how many stitches wide, high, how much room you need. And I hadn't previously done that. So before I started this project on a different fabric, I took the total stitch width and height dimensions, and the total stitched area specified in the pattern is wrong by about 50%. I think that they calculated it on a linen fabric 1/1, but didn't specify that. So I had started this on a fabric that was half the size that I needed before I only got a couple stitches in, and then I was like, well, I should probably check this. And sure enough, it would not have fit. And I considered doing 1/1 with one strand over one linen thread, which I don't typically do. I got maybe 30 stitches in and I hated it. And I didn't want to order new fabric. I have, a small fabric stash. There should be something that I can choose from. So I grabbed a different fabric and I'm back to doing it 2/2, my preferred. And let me see if I can find the tag. This fabric is French Lilac by Picture This Plus. Ordered it from Traditional Stitches, which is just winding its business down as the owner retires. And I've made myself a little thread card. This is, I have a monthly sticker subscription through Hubman and Chub Girl. They ship both out of Canada and the United States. And one of my monthly themes was rainbow llamas. So I took the card from that sort of monthly sticker release and just punched holes in it and made myself a floss card. And like I mentioned, I'm now just over 10% on that project, and I have more than enough room for margins for framing. So the moral of that story is always check the dimensions that the designer has specified. I did reach out to the designer by Instagram and did not receive a response, so I'm not sure if they're going to correct that in the pattern or not. Regardless, I have sorted myself out, so there is that. And that was a new start during the month of June. My next project is also a new start during the month of June, but you will have seen it in my last episode. I started this one for the Strawberry Moon Cell hosted by Marjorie Maid. This is Strawberry Naps by Lindy Stitches. I don't have a cover photo. I'll pop a photo up. I'm sure everyone has seen this. And I am currently at 16.12% complete. 1348 stitches out of 8361 stitches. I started this when I was up north at my husband's family property, which was previously a strawberry farm, so very fitting. I am stitching this on an 1/8 of a yard of 18 count Sprite Ada. I believe Picture This Plus is the creator behind that. And I am using some Roxy Flosstube that I pulled from Stash and a little bit of B5200. I haven't put one of every color in yet, so all these lengths that are shorter I haven't cut into yet. And I don't plan to do any more work on that right now. I have to take it out of the hoop from the last time that I stitched on it. And what is next on my, is that it for cross stitching for the last couple of weeks? That is, and we talked about haunted, did we talk about haunted frames? I don't remember. My other fully finished object, I had previously stitched haunted frames, cross stitch with Elizabeth of Savory Stitches, and I fully finished that this past weekend into a little notions pouch. It's covered in cat hair already, but the back is just a solid gray. Hot pink zipper, or fuchsia I guess. And the inside is just a cotton fabric that I picked up from Fabricland. Very neutral, low contrast. So that was my cross stitch fully finished, in addition to Meg, which I do remember us talking about. The next knitting project that I will start for the Elder Stash Mall, I can hear myself bouncing all over in this episode. I even wrote notes this time. The next Elder Stash project that I will start is this skein of, I believe it's Mineville Wool Company, and I think they're out of business right now. I picked this up on a trip in 2017 out to Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. So I will be knitting that into yet another Musselburgh for the gift hat bin, so that I can get another 400 yards or so out of my Elder Stash. Talked about the memorial display. I spent a little bit of time sewing over the weekend. Last month I made myself 12 cross stitch project bags. This month I made 8, including the notions pouch that I just showed you, so I'll whip through these really quick. I have, everything has a neutral muslin cotton fabric inside, nothing to write home about. Made myself this one with this spooky print. I believe I ordered this one from 123 Stitch with a black zipper. I made this Halloweeny one with an orange zipper. Another side quest. I was at Michael's yesterday picking up just some little zippy bag things for storage, and I was very excited to see that the Halloween displays are already starting to come out, and I called my husband and I said, look, isn't this great? Halloween's my favorite time of the year. I'm Halloween all year. I don't love Christmas. I don't like winter. I don't love summer weather. Halloween and autumn are my jam. And he said, don't you think it's a little bit early? No, Kevin, it's not a little bit early. It is the perfect time for Halloween. I made, I believe this is my 3rd jackalope bag in this cotton canvas fabric, with another red zipper, same as the other ones. This one is also the just plain muslin fabric. Another little piece of 1/2 yard that I bought from 123 Stitch. This one has a white zipper in it. All those bags, with the exception of the cross stitch finish, are the same on the front and back. This one is different prints on the front and back. I only had a very small piece of this ghost fabric left. So the back is the smaller scale skull bat situation, with a cream colored zipper and same fabric on the inside. This one is the same on both sides. I think this is like a Santorini cat print with a cream zipper. This one, this fabric has been in my stash for probably 12 plus years. Love this. Gabby from Plies and Hellhounds once upon a time made a skirt out of this fabric. Very light pink ghosties in the background, so it's got a pink zipper in there. And again, the same unbleached muslin fabric. So those are the 8 bags that I made for myself over the weekend. I have still some existing whips that are in like the plastic Amazon bags, but I have some new starts kitted up and ready to go in fabric bags. So as I sort of start and finish more projects, they'll just naturally sort of transition. Try and get a good cover photo. Hopefully that does that. So that is sewing, and that is cross stitch. July is the Tour de France event. Bicycle race, is that the best way to describe it? The spinning community hosted through Ravelry, a lot of us participate in the Tour de Fleece. The objective is to spin along on days when the participants are racing. On rest days, we take rest days. Challenge yourself to spin every day, ideally while watching the Tour de Fleece, but the rules are very lax. I plan to participate this year now that I have resumed spinning after quite a lengthy hiatus. I currently have on a bobbin a part of a bag of fiber from Smallbird Workshop that's already spun up, and I need to spin more of my plain gray alpaca to apply that with. So my first order of business this month will be finishing the rest of the alpaca and then applying that, the colored fiber from Smallbird Workshop. I'll be applying that as a single strand, in the alpaca I'll be spinning from a center pole. I'll be plying from a center pole ball so that when I spin the two together, it's 3 plies. After that, I will just grab some more fiber from my stash. I have lots of fleeces downstairs that need processing. I don't need to buy anything new, so I will just be working from stash. Those are pretty much my only July plans, the Muscle Burrow cast on and the Tour de Fleece that I mentioned. I will show you my July cross stitch calendar. Again, I get the monthly Hubman and Chub Girl subscription club. The theme for July is beach seagulls. So I have my calendar for the month all drawn out and my little month headings. And I've populated my book with an area for acquisitions, an area for starts and finishes, and an changes to my yarn and fiber stash. And I've already put in a little Tour de Fleece sticker. So I'll write down the teams that I am on, that I'm spinning for that event, when I have solidified that. And I think that is it for my notes. I think that's it. So I will plan to see you again in a couple of weeks. The next episode will probably have a little bit of spinning because of Tour de Fleece, and a little bit, knitting. There is one more thing. This project is new information to my channel. I am in the middle of a Quaker yarn stretcher by Stitch Nerd Designs, using some hand spun. So I would like to finish this up now that I have a little bit of a knitting mojo back and get started on another similar pattern. I am knitting this up in Targhee, the Mint Autumn Dreams colorway. I spun this a approximate worsted weight. I have 220 grams of yarn. And when I spun this, I spun it up intentionally as a gradient. It went from white to light blue to darker blue purple. It's very important to me to knit with my hand spun. I learn a lot more about my hand spun by knitting with it than I do by spinning it. And I'm not at all a technical spinner. I couldn't tell you the style of spinning that I use. I know one thing and that's it. I know how to do a couple of different plies, but that's true of a lot of the crafts that I do. I'm essentially a very long experienced intermediate beginner. I don't like to advance my skills. I'm happy with what I know for most of my crafting. So that is that. This has been on the needles for quite some time and I just haven't had much knitting mojo recently, but like I mentioned, I woke up on Saturday morning and I didn't want to cross stitch. I did want to knit, so I got that Muscle Bird finished, and this is next, and I'll just start another project from hand spun to replace it. It is in my very fashionable freezer Ziploc bag. The next project bags that I sew up for myself will have to be knitting, although I do have quite a number of knitting project bags that I could choose from, yet I find myself pulling Ziploc bags. So I think that's it legit for real this time. I will plan to see you in a couple of weeks. Hopefully by then I am in a better headspace. The heat wave that we're currently experiencing hopefully will have broken. It's currently feels like 43 degrees Celsius outside with the humidity. It's disgusting, I hate it. Hopefully some more Halloween decorations start popping up at the big box stores. That makes me happy. And yeah, I look forward to any chats that I get to have with you all in the comments or on my Instagram. And very happy 1st of July. And I'll talk to you again soon. Take care.